morning, guys. Got 2 new cars picked up over the weekend. 74 Plymouth Satellite, 68 Dart. Got these out of a yard in the SoCal area. Saw on Facebook there was released an ad listing that said 50 classic rides, and they all just pretty much looked like this and it's covered in dirt and stuff. And I was like, huh, looked like a tow yard, which I'm pretty sure it was. The listing wasn't for these cars, it was for some old Cadillacs, but I saw I thought it could have been a Roadrunner. Whatever it was, I knew 73 or 74 Satellite, a Roadrunner in the picture. So texted the guy about it, and he told me it was for sale. It's pretty complete, and it is. I know it's missing some things, but it is pretty complete, and especially under the hood. He gave me a price on it. It's pretty good. So I was like, well, you know what? There looks like there's a bunch of cars out there. I'm gonna go check it out. Went over there, and there's just a bunch of cool old stuff. And yeah, it's like a tow yard that they usually have some kind of auction every year, and they weren't having the auction, so they were just selling the cars through Facebook Marketplace. So looked around and also spotted this guy, and which, I mean, 68 Dart, that's gonna catch your eye. I think it's the best year for the Dart. So got a deal on both of these, and picked them up over the weekend. Yeah, so let's check out the Dart. 68 Dart. I'm not too big of an A-body Mopar guy. I like them, but I don't know too much about them. But this one's pretty complete. The grill's like mint. I mean, this one, pretty much everything's there. So on this side, there is just a ding up here, a ding in the back. The other side is straight. As you can see, a little bit of Mother Nature action going on there. Looks like it was repainted at one point. It's funny, it looks like it was repainted, and whoever repainted it went ahead and put all the Dodge logos on upside down. It's not like they just spun, it's like they're literally on upside down. It should be more like sitting like a triangle, which is pretty funny. I mean, I looked at it before I bought it, but you know, sometimes you're excited and you don't really see things. But there are a few, I mean, vinyl top car, you know, it's gonna have, it's more prone to having some rust up on the roof than other cars without a vinyl top. And it's got a few holes starting, but really that's it for the rust. The rust is, and it's not insane, but it's got little holes starting on the roof, and then, you know, the water carries down here, so you get a little bit of stuff going on here. But really that is it. The quarters, which are usually what I'm looking at on these, are super solid. Everything else is really solid as far as I can see so far. Doesn't have a key back here. Anyway, I'll show you guys. I think this is the one I'm gonna clean up today, so we'll open the trunk later. It's full of books and stuff, but in the trunk, it's got the original mat in there. It even has the jack in it. So I wouldn't doubt the build sheets in this too. It's got all the hubcaps on it. Cool green color, as you see. The rest really is just here and here. That's kind of it. Which the Mopars usually have. I don't know if the A bodies are the same way as the B bodies, but they'll have like the quarter rust, trunk rust, but not really any of that on this one. And I don't know, for you guys that don't know, I don't know when they stopped doing the Pentastar, but all these year Mopars have this on the passenger side. So on the curb side, if it's parked, you can see it's a Chrysler product, I guess. It's always on the side that the curb would be, at least here in the States, the way you'd park. Dog found a cup. Nice. So what is this thing packing under the hood? What kind of Mopar power? Oh, the leaning tower of power. Yeah, so it's got a slant 6 in it, which, I mean, a majority of these cars, I assume, came with Charger 225. Yeah, I mean, it's even still got a battery in it from when it must have pulled in the yard or whenever, whatever the history of it. I don't know any of the history on it. Yeah, I mean, it's all there. And this one actually was the only one, when I was looking at it, I kind of jumped it, and it was turning, so I didn't have gas, couldn't start it, but it did turn. So I'm kind of hopeful it will maybe drive, maybe today, because what I'm gonna do first is tires. First of all, I want to get it rolling. I'm gonna look around the yard, see if I can find a set of tires that I can use. I think there's the back passenger side looks like it'll hold air, but these ones are shot. So got a tire machine here. I'm gonna hopefully find some tires I can replace those with, get it rolling at least. And then, I mean, the wiring doesn't look all hacked up, so I mean, it'll turn. So then I'm gonna just see if it'll start, which would be super cool. But yeah, it's all there. So, and I've never worked on a Slant 6, so I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's even got the insulation or the hood and everything. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. This one's pretty sweet. Yeah, got a blanket too with it, free blanket in it. Headliner's really, which is interesting to me because like with the little holes in the roof, you'd think the headliner would be kind of like a little grosser looking, but it's actually pretty mint actually. But I mean, it's got all the trim in here. Yeah, I mean, this car's really complete. So, you know, goodbye there. I'm happy with that one. So, Dart is what we are gonna get on today. So we're gonna look around the yard, see if I can find some tires and get this thing rolling. So let's get on it. 3 14-inch tires. I think out of this horde, I should be able to pull that off. So I have hit a bump in the road. I just automatically assumed these were 14-inch rims, and there's plenty of 14-inch tires here, R14, and got the tire off the old one and went to put the 14 on, and it is too big. Came back, and these are 13s on here, so these are 13-inch rims. There are not 13-inch tires here. So there's a spare in here, but that still doesn't do me good because I need 2 more. So I might just buy a super cheap set of tires for this. But anyway, I'm gonna throw the rim back on here and let's just see then if this thing will start up at least. Yeah, so let's do it. Before we even get it running though, I totally forgot, we gotta pressure wash these things. You know, you can't be working on a totally filthy car. So yeah, got the pressure washer hooked up. Let's wash this thing up a little bit, see how good we can get it to look. All right, just got the first wash through. And here's the trunk. Lots of stuff in here, like family books and yearbooks. Kind of weird, but kind of feel bad throwing it out too, but I guess no one cared enough to take them out whenever they ditched this car at the yard. So gonna start hitting the interior. Don't really want to be starting it and cranking it in such a dirty interior when I can just clean it up. So gonna just get the cleaning out of the way, and probably gonna hit these trunk channels and stuff. A bunch of like wood screws too for some reason. But as you can see, the paint, even the mats in here, the trunk's really nice. It's getting wet now, but the original jack's still in there. Even like, I love like this kind of stuff, like the instructions and stuff are out there. And the paint's really good in here, obviously, just been kept away from everything. But yeah, so maybe gonna find gloves or something to wear so I don't gotta go raw dogging it in here, you know. But might have to. But yeah, so gonna hit the trunk, interior, get the junk out, get some of the dirt out of there, and then I think we'll get on to trying to start it. So let's get on it. Mopar Door Creek. So it looks like most of the junk's over here. There's my missing hubcap thing. Good thing there's nothing in these trash bags. Box for a cassette radio. Makeup, I guess. So gross, so gross. Oh, a little fan. What? Something automotive repair. Oh, I can. Oh, it's not empty. That sun visor is just disintegrating all over me. So got a majority of this stuff out. I don't really have a good adapter for my vacuum, so I can't get in every crevice. But I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, interior wise, it is all there. The glove box I did find, I think these armrests are sitting in the glove box, but just cleaning it up, I found this handle for this side, door handle. It's just like nothing's messed with. I mean, just kind of looking under there, I mean, the wires look not messed with. There's the fuses. There are like a few fuses up here, so there might be something funky with it. But it's like, it's like all there. So I'm pretty impressed with it. It hasn't been just, you know, torn apart and someone's tried to make it a race car or whatever. It's just kind of been kept its honest, true slant six driver. So yeah, I think it's time to mess with the powerhouse under there. So yeah, let's keep rolling. So I'm just gonna go grab a battery, put some gas in it, and see if the thing will start. It actually has water in it already. Just looking at it though, this overflow tank for the radiator, like, hits the alternator pulley. Like, it's literally touching it. So I'm gonna yank that thing off. Then it'll be time to see what happens when I put gas in it. So let's do it. Okay, so went ahead, took out that overflow tank, took that old battery out, the new battery, actually a Mopar battery, so when you're dealing with Mopars, you got to keep it 100%. You know how Mopar people are. So, yeah, gotta put some gas in it and see what happens. Again, I don't know what's in the tank, so we might be getting dirty gas in here, but I'm a little too lazy right now to take it out. Oil's pretty much dead on the line, so that's pretty good. Just put gas in there. That's pretty cool that it just started like that. I kind of want to go around to see maybe what works at least electronically, and then I might go back to starting it up again. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Start right up. See if the lights work. Both running lights are on. There's the headlights, yep. On 68 models, the marker lights actually all illuminate, where on like 69, I think right after 68, and not just 68, but I think everything earlier than 69, the marker lights actually, well actually, I don't even know if 67 had marker lights. I think that's a 68 thing that started, became a law or whatever, and 68 cars actually have lights to all the markers, where after that, they're reflectors in 69, but I think 70 they go back to actually being illuminated. So I think what I'm gonna do now is, it's getting a little windy out here, but I wanna hook up the fuel pump. I mean, if there's any gas in there, it's old, and hopefully it's just old gas and not like rusted crap in there and just gonna be a problem where I need to replace it or something. But I'm gonna just grab a little fuel tank and hook up the fuel pump inlet to that, so it's pumping gas out of that little tank, so I'm getting clean gas going to the car. All right, so what I got going now, so pulled the inlet coming from the fuel tank off of the fuel pump that's pumping the fuel all the way from the fuel tank. So I got a 5/16 fuel line hose going down this little can down here that I have some gas in, and that'll be my fuel tank for now. So yeah, so let's see if it'll just stay idling. Throttle's not returning to me. Oh wow, that's stiff right there. I wonder if it's even pumping gas out of here now. I mean, really, it could even be that fuel filter right there. That's old gas right there. Oh, it's old. What I'm gonna do is just crank it and see if anything even comes out of there. So I couldn't find another fuel filter, so I just ran a hose straight to it. I mean, it's just clean gas coming in, so I hope maybe the filter was kind of holding in all this old gas and it just isn't liking it, and so now it'll just have fresh gas really coming in. So let's see. Okay, there's nothing coming out of there. So maybe my fuel pump is not working. Maybe what I'll do now is I'll loosen this up. I'll do the old funnel trick, gravity feed it, and see how it runs. Carb still would need to get looked at because it's not really, it's a little stiff. But so I'm gonna get a funnel and a hose and hook it up. So funnel hooked right here to the hood latch, going down to the carb, so deletes the need for fuel pump because gravity is doing the job. So gonna go ahead and just feed this thing. Probably will leak out. That clamp isn't too good that I got on there. And it fell. Okay. Could be gunk in it. Okay, that definitely did something. Alright, it's probably gonna run out of fuel here in a sec. I can't really fill it up right now, fill the bottle up. That's not too bad though. And she's gone. Okay. Well, I didn't think the old smack the crap out of the carburetor fix would work, but I guess it did. I've only heard it in legend that it does anything, but so got some clouds coming after me. I'm about to wrap it up for right now, but went ahead and did hook up that gas tank, and I just do not think, even though I saw some old fuel coming out of there, it is not sucking the fresh fuel out of the little tank I had going. The fuel pump isn't. So I think it might have just been pumping whatever was left in there, but I don't think it's like really, and because it was pumping stuff out, like that kind of rules out that that line's clogged, because it was pumping fuel out of there. So I think it's just the fuel pump isn't really working right. So that's an easy fix. Proves it runs pretty good too. So fast forward to when I have new tires and a new fuel pump. Whoa, I got new tires. Oh, and a new fuel pump. Let's get this thing going. So all these old Chryslers, I'm not sure what year they started it, what year they stopped it, but on the driver's side, the lug nuts and the lugs are all backwards thread. So righty tighty would be righty loosen, and I fully expected it to be like that on this one. The only way to change it is, of course, if you change the studs, which someone actually did on this. Kind of just a cool, quirky Mopar thing that is kind of interesting. Not really sure the logic behind it. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 new tires on this thing. And I was afraid it was gonna look a little, like they might be a little too small, but they look pretty good. They're a little smaller than the ones on it, but they fit the car, they look good. And they didn't break the bank at all, so that was nice. I already started to attack the fuel pump, got the bolts out. I'm gonna pull the old one off now. And I'm gonna run the car off a jug for now, so probably gonna somehow zip tie it up right here, set it here. And then that new fuel pump should be able to pump fuel from the jug to the carb. So let's get on it. Okay, so here's our fuel pump that wasn't working very good. Very old gas in there. Just leaking everywhere, so I'm gonna get out of here. So the motor mount down here is pretty much not very much there. So we'll see if I can even get the fuel pump in. Okay, got the fuel pump on. The motor mount's kind of making it difficult because it's pretty much almost just sitting on like the motor mount bracket. So but I was able to get it in, so I mean, I guess that means it has enough room. Storm cloud's coming, so I'm trying to hurry, so I'm gonna hook up this fuel system. She wants to be for now. As far as I want to get today, tires and drive it. That was the goal there. Yeah, where is it leaking oil? The fuel pump, I think. I was thinking about maybe doing a engine mount. Definitely started running better there at the end. I think it's so much just in the carb is the whole deal, but I think it's starting to clear up. I think the brakes just need to be bled. I think they'll work pretty decently. So I think tomorrow I'm gonna get on that, put it up on the lift, which is why I want it up here, and I'm progressing. I've upgraded from the dirt onto the cement, then to the lift. So let's fast forward to tomorrow. Now we can look under this thing. Pretty standard Mopar. So, okay, so the exhaust is hitting the drive shaft here. So, that'll need to get addressed. I think I was hearing that when I was driving it. Not bad though. Not bad. This exhaust hanger, this might be what's doing it actually. Oh, even the fuel tank's undercoated. Oh my God, the straps are totally covered up. All right, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna put it down. I think it'll be easiest to get to the front bleeder screws with the tires off. And since I'm gonna be doing this alone, I'm gonna be doing the bottle method, which I'll show you guys if you don't know what that is. And but first I'm gonna lower it down and put the new master cylinder on it, and then we'll bleed the brakes. So, okay, so first I'm gonna start bench bleeding this new master. So now what we're gonna do is wait for the brake fluid to kind of start coming out of the ports there. Then after that, come back with a screwdriver, something not like with that sharp of a tip, to then push the rest of the bubbles out, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so this is how I am gonna bleed them solo. So I got this bottle with brake fluid with a line going to the bleed screw, which I'm then gonna crack loose, pump the brakes slowly, and it's going to be pushing air bubbles out into this bottle, but all it's going to be bringing in is more fluid, so then it'll just siphon out all the bubbles that it's got. Okay, so I went ahead and did the fronts. I know that's not the order you're supposed to, but nothing's going to the rears. I'm going to start taking At least the front's getting fluid. They are missing the clips for the hoses, so it's kind of wonky up there. But I'm just gonna start taking things apart back here and see which line must be clogged. I've kind of been tapping the proportioning valve, so that can maybe loosen up if that had something stuck or wasn't letting fluid back here or something. But anyway, I'm gonna start taking lines off and seeing where fluid kind of stops coming out. So let's do that. As I suspected, it was the rear hose. Took it right off, just pumped it, and where is it? Anyway, the brake line that connects to the hose started making a mess everywhere, which I was happy about because this is the easiest thing to change if it's clogged up. Obviously, just the one hose. The front ones are okay, so I'm gonna leave them, but this guy's gonna have to get replaced. So either I'm gonna try and look around here for one, or I'm gonna go pick one up real quick. Okay, so here's what just went down. I went out to the yard. There's a frame out there of an old Chrysler, no body, just the frame. And there was the rear end hose sitting there. And I just said, screw it. It actually matched up in length perfectly. Everything was the same, took it off, threw it on. Now it's on the car. Not the exactly right way to do it, to replace it with another old hose, but it'll work for now, I think. Gonna start bleeding it and hopefully everything goes well. Just when I think everything's good enough, I come in here just to look, because I knew there was brake fluid leaking before, but I thought it was just the old master. But I noticed it still was, and that little tab, that's another one I threw on there, and I just lost the top one though. But every time if I was pulling the brakes, I'd pull up on this or something, it would pull that tab easily, and then the seal basically the cylinder goes too far inside the car, and fluid started leaking out, which is the problem that was happening before, because I knew it was missing some kind of plate that went there. And actually there's just a older like 50s Mopar master sitting around that had this on it, and I went on to the old master that was on this and saw if it would fit, and it would. The whole thing that I need. So this will actually hold the cylinder flush in there so it can't come out far enough where it starts leaking fluid in. But now I have to kind of disassemble what I got going on here. So let's do it. Here's where we're at. The master is out and the whole piston pulled out, just like the other one, which is okay. Got brake fluid all over, and I'll have to re-bleed the master. I can throw this thing on. Since the car's down, I'm gonna start with putting the new starter on it, and then we're gonna tackle doing the motor mount, which is kind of the biggest thing today. My plan is to get a block and kind of lift it off the side of the oil pan, not on the oil pan, but off where it mounts to the block. I think that'll be the strongest spot to jack the engine up, and hopefully it's not too big of a deal and I can just slide that new mount in there. So let's start with the starter, gonna do the mount, then gonna reseal the fuel pump, just because I couldn't get it on that good with the kind of crushed mount. It's not really on there that well. It's almost sitting on the fuel pump. And then it should be kind of go time. See if I'll still be running it off the little gas can. I'm gonna kind of worry about running it off the fuel tank last, and I'll kind of want to clean the tank out somehow first. But yeah, so let's do the starter first, and then we'll get on everything else. New starter is considerably smaller, and it's not the one that was even in the pictures that I bought, but it went on. But of course now my cable's too short, so I'll have to go find something. But the big deal right now is that motor mount, so I think I'm gonna want to get on that. All right, so I went ahead and took the fuel pump out just because it's gonna make things a lot easier, and I was gonna take it out anyway, so it just worked out. Got that in there, and it already is a huge difference. It's crazy how much of a gap now there is between the distributor and the mount. But I'm kind of excited to see now how the fuel pump's gonna fit in there. So I'm gonna clean up the surface and then clean up the pump a little bit, and put a new gasket on it and throw that on there. All right, went ahead, got the hot cable hooked up to the starter. It's a bit of a stretch, and it's honestly, it was a stretch before too, but the starter is now smaller, which I didn't think. I thought it was going to be an exact one of what I had, which is what it was supposed to be, but you know, whatever, I had to wait for it, so I'm just going to put it on there. So I just kind of had to bend the tab back for the cable so it could fit, and I mean, it's not too terrible. The kick down isn't even touching it now, so I think it'll be okay for now. If someone wants to change it down the road, they can, but yeah. So I'm gonna put the car up. What I have to do under it is change the oil, and then I am also gonna try and see about the exhaust hitting the drive shaft and see if I can zip tie something up or get the muffler up somehow. So yeah, let's put this thing up. All right, so here's what I had going on. Just put this hook here, and then just strapped it and pulled it over. I wish I had a little bit of small. This is about as tight as it can go, and it takes this off, and it's not hitting, but it's pretty close. So if it gets like a good shake, it might hit it, but at least it's not just gonna be rubbing it the whole time, especially right here. Right at full. Back with the Dart today. Today, it should be driving. Really, all I have to tackle today is the carburetor, which was giving me the problems last time. I had to screw the idle stop screw in so much for it to even idle. So something's definitely clogging up in there, and I kind of was assuming I would eventually need to get into the carburetor, which obviously I didn't want to, but I do. So that's kind of the last thing I got to do. I didn't go ahead and buy a carb kit because I'm really trying to keep it budget. I pretty much spent as much money as I want to spend on it. So I'm just gonna be gentle with everything and just take it apart, clean it out. Main thing I think is the idle circuit probably is clogged somewhere. So got all the stuff I need to clean it out. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull it off, and get into it. Uh-oh, the carb's off. That's a bad sign. So the goal is to really clear the idle circuit up. It's gonna try and be careful with it because I don't have any extra gaskets or anything. So yeah, let's see how good we can clean this thing up. Just went ahead and let this and the needle and seat and the jet sit in some carb, that carb goop cleaner stuff. So I got everything clean where I could spray carb cleaner through it, and took a air nozzle and just cleaned everything out on the carb too. So yeah, so we're gonna throw it back together and see if that did the job. Everything hooked back up. Let's see what happens. So the choke to kick off. I'm gonna say that fixed it. I mean, I wasn't able to move it like that before. That's completely off the fast idle for the choke, and it's on normal idle, which is only a turn and a half in, which that's around where it should be for idle, I believe. But before I'd have to turn it 4 times. I even took the spring off to get to idle at least. So but yeah, and then it was shifting smooth because I didn't have to have the idle so high up. There was a little gasket that was on the seat. It broke. It was basically so frail. I don't know how it was even working before, but it broke. And I kind of went and found one that was kind of bigger that I thought would work, but I don't think it's working. I'm gonna have to find a different gasket for that. So I should be able to find one, so I'm gonna look for one right now. Okay, so I ended up actually finding another Holley 1920 on the shelf. So I pulled off the seat and needle, where is it? Okay, right there. I pulled it off and it had the right sized gasket for that, but I don't think that was the leak. Could have been, but it was more so the fitting going, the actual line fitting going into it. It was a little stripped and screwed up. I'm not even sure this is the right one. I just went ahead and threw some Teflon tape on it for the meantime, and that fixed it for now. So, and actually the car runs pretty good now. Filled up the gas. I think it's go time. Let's do it. Guess I'll get a little fancy and even put the air cleaner on it. Mocha refused to wait inside, so she's gonna be coming along. So I'm about to hit the road, just around the block, see what happens. It's running pretty good, so let's see. Should have been ready for that. Got it down far enough where the safety latch is latched. Really doing it. It's not too bad. The brakes pull either way. Kind of to the right a little bit. Though, and drives pretty good, honestly. Pretty smooth. No like hesitation really in the carb or anything. Not too bad. Success. I was ready to have something happen and maybe stuck on the road with the dog and have the dog freaking out, want to jump out, but hey, it got me back. So other than one more good cleanup and just getting rid of stuff like that and get it just kind of a little more orderly, clean the windows up, I got to get it running off the tank. That's the kind of the last thing I got to really do. I don't remember seeing a key, but maybe there's one. And then I'm gonna have to clean the tank out somehow because I'm sure it's probably pretty gunky in there. So that's what I'm gonna get on next. Let's do it. Okay, that's honestly probably the hard part. So I think what I'm gonna do is hook up the fuel pump and then just start having it pump all the old gas into something and out of it. Okay, so got the fuel pump hooked up to the tank, then just going straight through the hard line, then into a bottle. I'm just gonna, bottle feed it gas, and hopefully it won't like clog up any lines. It'll just start pumping out into that, and then I can kind of start to dilute it with new gas, and then it'll kind of work out. That's the idea. All right, I went ahead and diluted it a little bit with some fresh gas. All right, finally got it out. But sadly, this gas tank isn't even worth putting back in there. I put it on the ground and was like, wait, why did stuff just splash out of the opposite side of the filler neck hole? It's because it's got pretty significant holes in the top of it. And as you can imagine, it's nice and just rusty. Yeah. So that's junk. I'm gonna see how cheap I can get a fuel tank for this and a sending unit. And then that should really be it for what I gotta get for this thing. Going a step further and it's junk. Even the brass of the float, it's junk. Would not have thought it would have rusted in there that bad. Wow. All right, we are back in business. Got the fresh tank today. The new sending unit was supposed to come the same time, but it got delayed today. But at least with this tank, the sending unit isn't like on the top, so it is accessible, so I can just put it on after it's in. And I have had the filler neck. Well, portion of it was sitting in the tank, got pretty rusty, so I've just been soaking it in various chemical mixtures and stuff. So I think I got it as good as I'll get it right now. So plan today is gonna be put the tank in it, put the filler neck back on it, and then tomorrow should just be putting the new sending unit in, hooking it all up, and it should be running off the tank. All right, so got it all in, strapped in. Biggest pain was getting the filler neck in the donut, but all worked out. Last thing to do is gonna be to put the new sending unit, which is on the side there for the front, so I can put that in. All right, the last missing piece is here, so I'm gonna throw it on, get the fuel all hooked up, and I think we'll be driving it today. So yeah, let's throw this thing in there and get rolling. I'm gonna run the car for a minute off the funnel just to get any more old gas that might be in the pump and this hard line to go in this bottle till I get some fresh gas from the tank going in there. I forgot to press record, but I just ran it for probably 10 seconds and we got clean fuel. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook the carb up and get this thing off the lift. But I sprayed some degreaser on it, underneath it like the other day. So I think it's burning a lot of that off. That's why it's a bit smoky. I think it's clearing up now though. It's starting to warm up. The hood's closed now though, and it's running. It looks a lot better. So 2 hours later, I had to go to the auto parts store, get a new thermostat, and I broke the old thermostat housing, so I had to get a new one also. The temp gauge has never worked, but you know, if water starts pouring out, obviously it's hot. So then today, I just had it sitting and probably running for 15 minutes at that point, and then out of nowhere, it just starts puking antifreeze all over. So I turned it off, took off the thermostat housing, or well, was going to, thought I got both the bolts out, but just out of a moment of just not thinking, I took a bolt out that wasn't part of it. So when I tried to tap it off, it broke. And so then, but luckily AutoZone had one, which I'm really surprised about. So I ended up just spending 20 bucks for the thermostat and the new housing. Went ahead and just flushed the radiator and the block out with water through the water pump and everything. So let's go ahead and throw all the stuff back on there, and hopefully that fixes the overheating issue. Okay, so I pretty much got the Dart to a spot where I'm pretty much done working on it. Replaced the thermostat. In the process, had to end up replacing thermostat housing. And it cools good, runs good, the brakes work good. What I've been doing now, went ahead, cleaned it up, polished up the bumpers a little bit just to see how good I get them to look. Degrease the engine and hose it off a bit, so got some of that orange coming through. I'm gonna be hitting the hubcaps with some chrome polish, get them looking as good as I can at least. The windows are kind of the big thing, and then just clean up the interior a bit. And I think that'll wrap up the Dart project. So yeah, let's get on it. That is a wrap on the 68 Dodge Dart. I had a lot of fun working on this car, and it was cool to actually finally work on a slant six. I've heard how great they are and how dependable, and honestly, based on how this thing looked, I'll say that's true. I mean, I don't know how hard this car was driven in the past, or I definitely know it's had a history, but I mean, the engine runs like a top. It runs so smooth, shifts smooth. I mean, mechanically, this thing is really still dialed in like it probably was in 68. I mean, it just runs and drives really good. Got the Dart right now sitting next to the 68 Charger. I'll be making a video on this one soon and tell you guys all about it. But it's kind of cool to have the two next to each other. You know, you go to any Dodge showroom in 68 and see these next to each other. And it's kind of cool to have them kind of back in place how they could have been back then. You know, you could have had your just all-out muscle car, 440, you know, go all out. Or if you really just need something to get to work, get to school, get yourself a little slant six Dart, and I think you'd be happy with your little dependable slant six. But I really like this car, and I really like the Darts. I've never been around them much or looked at them much, honestly. But I really like the Darts now after having my hands on this car. So by the time this video is up, this car either has been sold or is still for sale. So if you are interested in this car, reach out to me on here and I can give you some details about it. I'm in the SoCal area, so just, you know, based on where you are. But it is a sweet little ride, and I really dig this Dart. It's so cool, and I got the right gas cap on it too. But yeah, and it looks good next to the Charger for sure. But yeah, so that's a wrap on that one. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Stay tuned for more. Always got cars going on. I will see you guys next time.